Although unit classes are certainly not a prerequisite for inclusive schools, 3 of these project schools do have unit or resource classes. They have demonstrated very good practice in terms of utilizing the unit class as a resource to the whole school.
The aim of the unit class is to be a resource for the other teachers. I think lots of teachers have similar children in the class but don't know how to handle the children. But by me being here and having first-hand experience of working with these learners with learning difficulties, I can actually advise them, and I have a lot of resource books which I can give them. You know, there's programs, children that have hearing problems, children that have perceptual problems. I can actually, what I've done in the past, I've given workshops here at school. So in that way, and it has also opened the eyes of the other teachers, especially the stigma of LSEN unit. It must be children that's very bad. It's not that. It's children that has gaps in their learning. And I think being in a class where where there's only 16 or 15 learners, you pick up these little problems or barriers that the children have, and you can address it.
The importance of including the unit class learners in the mainstream wherever possible has also been well demonstrated by the schools.
One thing I must say, the learners at Claremont Primary have never ostracized my class. My class has just always been seen as part of the school, and they've never felt that they've been thrown to one side. And how we've maintained that is by including them in the extramural activities at the school. So some of them belong to the choir. They go for dance class with their age cohort. So they get mainstreamed to do dance, they get mainstreamed to do phys ed, technology, they get mainstreamed to do. Also with other extramurals, like we have a spelling competition every year, spelling bee competition, and my learners take part. We have reading competitions that they take part in. Sport-wise, they just excel on the sports ground. So they play squash, they play tennis, netball, soccer. And if I have a learner that I think can cope in, say, social science class or natural science class, I'll send the learner, see how they cope. And if they do cope, that's where that learner goes. So I think that they're sort of well-rounded, and socially, they don't stick to their group. Their friends are in all the other classes. So when you see them on the playground, you won't see them as a unit class, you'll see them socializing with the other learners.
In some instances, learners have been completely reintegrated back into full-time mainstream classes.
When I was given this task to start the unit here, I was also told that the children mustn't just sit passive here the whole day. It mustn't be like the old adaptation classes. So what I've tried, I've sent those who are emotionally strong that can go to the mainstream classes, because we must remember that I can't just send any child to the mainstream. It must be a child that's strong. So my strong learners I've sent to the mainstream classes, and they've coped well. Thus far, I've got 4 learners that's from the unit. They are full-time mainstream learners.
The option of mainstreaming unit class learners is not always possible. This is especially so in rural schools, where the full-service schools tend to accommodate learners with high-level support needs due to the scarcity of special schools.
Die plattelandse omset verskil drasties van die stedelike omset ten opsigte van die minder hulpbronne wat hier by ons beskikbaar is. En eenhede is daar vir vir leerders wat 'n hoë vlak van ondersteuning nodig het om hulle naby hulle ouerhuise te akkommodeer. En hier op die platteland werk ons baie nou saam met die ouers, want die ouers is loopafstand van die skool. Is maklik om by hulle uit te kom.
Please note that an additional feature at the end of this DVD highlights 2 stories. The one shows the successful inclusion of a unit class learner into the mainstream, and the second is the remarkable story of a learner with autism who has been successfully included in a rural unit class. There are many different teaching strategies available for educators to make use of in their classrooms in order to accommodate diversity. Educators from the 4 project schools use many of these to good effect.
Jennifer Southgate, who does the Handle program, she comes in quite often to assist us, and she teaches the educators amazing skills in the classroom in order to assist their learners to cope. She does exercises with the learners. There were times when she came out and she did exercises with the parents, and she taught the parents and gave them guidelines, amazing guidelines on how to monitor their kids and how to work with their children all the time.
Peer learning, or cooperative learning, is another strategy that has been used effectively at the project schools. This is where stronger learners are encouraged to support the learning of their peers.
So my learners have been arranged in groups according to their maths abilities. I do lots of group teaching because in a class like that with these individual needs, I cannot sort of teach one lesson all the time so that one size fits all sort of. So, and I make largely use of group teaching and peer teaching, so that when I'm busy with somebody, giving someone an individual attention, then the peers can sort of help them. And then also sometimes, because of some of my learners' language barriers, we always think in our mother tongue. So sometimes if I'm not able to explain something or get across to a child, I find it easier for a child perhaps to explain something to the child in their mother tongue. And in that way they sometimes understand things much better.
Some of these strategies are shown in more detail at the end of this DVD.
In addition to that, when we look at inclusivity, we also need to look at making the whole day of the learner worthwhile. So it shouldn't be just focusing on academics and remedial support, but also enhancing the total child. And in doing that, I applied for a dance teacher, which the department supplied part-time to our school. So we now have dance incorporated in our arts and culture program from grade 1 to grade 7.
The dance fits in the curriculum as one of the ways to give learning holistically. And it's very important that a learner coming out from a mathematics subject be able to apply that mathematics in a broader context, which is also dance plays a very important part in it. So when they come into the dance class, whatever has been taught in their academic rooms is expanded in a way that a learner can understand it deeper by using basic life skills, which they incorporated into dance.
Dis ontsettend baie talent in Swartberg Primêr. Op die oomblik het ons 'n senior koor van so plus minus 70-80 leerders wat gereeld optree by in die gemeenskap. Ons tree ook jaarliks op by die Overbergse Eisteddfort en dit gaan baie goed met ons. Weet jy, ek moet vir julle sê, veral met hierdie talente aand het daar geweldig baie kinders deelgeneem en dit was die kinders wat probleme gegee het in die klas. En ek kan nie glo hoe daai kind se houding, ek weet nie of dit teenoor my persoonlik is en of dit net sy houding in die klas is, die feit dat hy 'n bietjie belangstelling gekry het. Ek is seker dit het 'n groot invloed op die kind en erkenning gekry het eintlik. Dit is verstommend oor hoe daai kind anders optree in die klas en teenoor my.
The project schools all demonstrated an understanding of how important different learning opportunities are. There have been many good examples of these during the course of the project and include various sporting options, participation in science expos, art and cultural events, gardening at Fairview, etc. These create different opportunities for learners to develop life skills and achieve success at school that is not just academic. The recognition of achievement in these areas is also important.